Welcome to our session today. We're going to be talking about how to make the most of your membership renewal process. The Community Hub is open for members to join and for you to process membership dues and donations. Today we have several people joining us to help us with this. Rolly Wendorf, who is our CFO for AAUW California. She's here. Carol McMillan is a member of the Finance Committee, and she's also joining us. I'm here, and Angie Cooper is here from AAUW National. Many of you have probably talked to Angie. You may have gone to office hours, and we ask her to join us because we know that there are still lots of questions out there. So I'm going to turn it over to Rolly first, and she's going to review the agenda, and we'll get started.
Hey, thank you, Sandy. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. We've had a lot of interest in this webinar. We have over 180 registrations, and a significant percentage of those have joined us today. Along with the registrations, we were asked a lot of questions. And so many of the questions we have tried to include the answers to in our presentations, but we will still have a lot of time for Q&A at the end of it for any questions you have. So we have in the presentation, we will start out with talking about the dues amounts for normal memberships, for student memberships, and then a lot of issues related to the renewal process, like the automated reminders that you get from National, what is the schedule for those reminders, how to opt in, opt out. If a branch does not want to receive these automated reminders, then what is the manual process they need to use. Also online renewals where individuals go to the hub and renew themselves. How can CU representatives sign up or renew memberships? How can branch officers process bulk renewals, which is when a number of members send you their checks and you have to submit all of that to National. How can new members join in, and this is when branch officers are trying to join new members who haven't signed on to the hub themselves. Then we also go into Shape the Future, how to get those discounts, life memberships, how you can find out if somebody is renewed or not, donations, reporting, reminders. So there are a bunch of topics we'll be covering. Next slide, please. Okay, so starting out with dues amounts. So the new dues rates kicked in on the 1st of April. So anybody who's starting a new membership or renewing now is paying the new national dues of $72. And the California state dues remain at $20. Branch dues are, of course, individual to each of the branches. So there had been a message from National for around the February timeframe for branches to send in their updated branch dues at that time, like around mid-March or so. But I think some of the branches had their meetings to determine their new dues rates after that. And so if you didn't update your branch dues at that time, you can send a message to connect@auw.org to now update the dues. Just put something like updated branch dues in the subject title, and give it a couple of days for those new rates to kick in. So your total dues then become $92 for national and state combined, and then whatever the branch dues happen to be. Now, what are student dues and how is it figured out if somebody is a student. So there isn't a specific button that says, oh, this is a student member. It's based on, when the education information is filled in, there is a graduation date associated with a degree. And so if that date is in the future, then the person is a student. And students pay $18.81 to national, and they pay $10 to California. The exception is if the student is in a college or university that is a partner organization of AUW, then there are no national dues and there are no state dues. So the way they take advantage of this is that there is a coupon code associated with it, and these students can get their coupon code from the CU representative of their college or university. But for the benefit of all of you branch officers, here is the coupon code they would need to enter: college university member students FY24. By the way, you don't need to, write down all this information. The slides are available, and the link to the slides has already been put in the chat. And also, there will be a recording of this webinar, which will be available in a couple of days. Let's see. The CU partner list can be found on the Community Hub. So all branch officers, presidents, finance officers, membership chairs, when they log into the Community Hub as themselves, they can look at the CU partner list and find out all the colleges and universities which are partners in California. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so now about the renewal process itself. So if we remember, before the hub, we used to have all memberships started on July 1 and ended on June 30th. Well, now we have more flexibility. And so memberships start depending on when the person actually joined and then end a year from then. All memberships start at the first of a month and end at the last date of the previous month. So for instance, if somebody joins between the 1st and 15th of January, then their membership begins on the 1st of January and it would end on the 31st of December. On the other hand, if somebody joined between 16th of January and the end of January, the 31st of January, then their membership, while it actually begins from the day they join, but really in the records, it's beginning on February 1 and ending on the January 31st. So on. There is also a renewal window associated with it. So for a person whose membership is beginning the 1st of January, the renewal window will be October 1, so that is 3 months before that January 1st, and then into 3 months after, and so March 31st. So renewals, is expected will be done in this time. The period after the expiration of the membership and in the window, the 3 months after is seen as the grace period. What that means is that if you renew your membership within those 3 months of grace period, then there is no break in membership. It is seen as though you renewed it on time and your membership continues without a break. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so automated renewal reminders. These are the reminders that National sends by email. And it used to be last year that everybody, people had to opt in, and by default they were opted out. But as it turned out that many more branches wanted the reminders to be sent to them, and only a few didn't want the reminders to be sent to them. So this year, the process has changed. By default, people are opted into the renewal reminders, but they can opt out. So if your branch is getting reminders, but you don't want them, send a message to connect@auw.org saying, stop automated renewal reminders, something to that effect in the subject field. And again, give it a couple of days to take effect. So the message that is sent in these automatic reminders says that the national, state, and branch dues can be paid either on the hub or by a check. So for instance, I received a message sometime in late April reminding me to renew my membership. And I am a member of 3 branches in 2 different states. And so so I was able to go to the hub. It had a description of how to log in. I have already logged in before. And so I logged in and I picked all those 3 branches. And then the states corresponding to the branches had already been picked out for me, but I looked through it and verified it and then paid by credit card. So, I was able to renew all my branches that way. But if somebody doesn't want to do the renewal on the hub, then they also have information about how to send a check to their local branch. Some branches or some members complain that they are not receiving these renewal notices. And usually the problem is that perhaps the email address on which they are checking their email is different from the email address that has been provided in the records to national. We have that issue sometimes with information that is sent out from the state as well. Like sometimes there may be a complaint, oh, I didn't receive the insurance invoice, and then it's because they were checking on a different email address from the one that's in the records. So if there is that issue, just be sure to check, what the contact information known to national is, and if it isn't correct, then get it updated by sending a message to Connect. Next slide, please. Okay, so more on. Oh, I already talked about some of this in the previous slide. So this was about the reminder email that's sent, which talks about renewing on the hub or paying by check. And then once somebody has renewed, then that person, that member, does not receive any more of these reminder messages. Honorary life members, these are members who have been members of AUW for 50 years, do not receive reminders. This is because they do not, the national membership as well as state membership is free for them. Some branches do collect dues from honorary life members, but in this case, the branches should reach out to these members themselves and just ask them to send a check to the branch. Then there is the other category is paid life membership. This is when a member has paid dues for 20 years to AUW and so has become a life member, even though they haven't been a member for 50 years. In this case, paid life members do owe state dues as well as branch dues. And so, some of the information, like to see whether they have renewed, can be checked up in the disbursement report. Now, those members who are renewing have the option to sign up to 1 year of subscription to Ms. Magazine. So I did go ahead and do that, and I find it interesting to get these messages about what they're covering. Finally, what is the schedule for the reminders? So the way it's done is all memberships that are expiring at the end of May, June, no, March, April, May, June, and July received their first reminder in April. They will get their next second reminder in June, and then they will get their third reminder in August. So for those whose membership expires at the end of August or September, will get their first reminder in June, second in August, and third in September. And then for those expiring at the end of October, November, or December, get reminders in August, September, and October. So now I think we will get into the details of how exactly to do the renewals, and Sandy will be doing that part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Raleigh. So I'm going to bop back and forth between the presentation, and I'm actually going to go online and show people, because I think it sticks better when you have to, or when you see it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the manual renewal process. So as Raleigh stated, everybody was opted in to automated renewals, and some of the branches chose not to do the automated renewal process. If that's the case, if you're one of the, I think, 20 branches or so who made that decision, you need to notify your members that it's time to renew. So that means they're not going to get a notice. So it's up to you to find them and to notify them. And you can do that using the member roster to identify who is ready to renew. And you would look at the expiration date to see that. And then you can communicate with them about how you want that renewal to go, whether you want them to do it through the community hub using a credit or a debit card, which would be our recommendation, or by sending a check to the branch, and then you'll have to do the work to renew them online. If you have just realized that you opted out of the automatic renewal and you've changed your mind, it's not too late. Just send an email to Connect. And it's helpful if your subject line is specific to what you're trying to accomplish. So you might include a subject line like automatic membership renewal, so that it can more easily be directed to the correct person. And I'm going to go through another slide, and then I'm going to go to the system to show you. And so I'm going to show you how to download your branch roster if you don't already know that. And there are a couple of questions in chat that I will address as I do some of the demo. The second part, so we just talked about the manual renewal process. Let's talk about the online renewal process for individuals. As you might recall, not everybody logged in last year. And so the first thing that we need to remind them is, if they have never logged in, we want them to choose forgot your password. And for those of you who were in the meeting on Monday about our migration to the branch officer reporting system, it's the same way. So if you've never logged in before, you say forgot your password because you really don't know one, because we didn't send one to you. That'll prompt you to create a new password. Please tell your members, if at all possible, don't select don't have an account, because they do. It's fixable. But it means that the membership accounts need to be merged, because it will create a new account. It doesn't know that you're already there. And if you've already are a member, log in with your email address. And if you can't remember your password, then go back to that forgot password. And then you click on renew, that sort of thing. So I'm going to go through this right now. So I'm going to aauw.org. Let me get my little picture out of the way here. So this is the national website. I'm sure everybody's familiar with it. I'm going to log in here. Now remember, if you don't have an account, if you're a member but you've never logged in, you're going to choose this little thing down here that says forgot your password. And if you've got new members who are joining and they don't have an account, they would click on don't have an account. That's equivalent to the join now button. but I'm going to log in because I do have an email and a password. And my screen's going to look a little bit different because I have access to, as all of you are aware, to every branch because you keep seeing my name on your roster. So I have access to that. So the first thing I want to do is, since we talked about college and university partners, is, and let me see if I can make this a little bigger. I realize it's kind of teeny weeny. Okay. So on the left-hand side, these are all the things that you can do. And if you are a branch officer, a president, a membership, a finance person, on the left-hand side, you'll see branches, college and university directory contacts. So somebody asked that in the chat, I believe. So you first choose the country. So we're going to say United States. Oops, not United Kingdom. One more down, United States. And then we're going to say California and search. And so this will give you a listing of all of the universities in California. And if you click on here, you'll see the details of that college. It'll tell you who the CU reps are. It'll tell you their member numbers, and it gives you their email address. So this is somebody to ask where to find that. That's where it is. And we use C/U to represent college university details. Okay, so I am going to go back to, let's say that you are trying to find out who you need to renew this year because you have chosen not to do the automated renewals. So you're going to go to your branch, and here's my branch. I'm going to use Mariposa, and I'm going to say Manage Branch Roster. And when I do that, I can do Export Branch Roster. When I do that, I get a CSV file, which is like an Excel file. It's CSV because it only has one tab on it. And when I open that up, you'll see all of the members. And I just want to point out a couple of things here for you. So you have your member ID, what type of member they are, whether they're national, honorary, lifetime, first name, last name. But what you're looking for here is the expiration date. And for those of you who are not used to using Excel, you can grab this corner here. I'm using my my left key on my mouse, and I'm just dragging it. So that makes it bigger or smaller, because when it first opens up, it's like that and you can't see it. Also, if you just double click on that, you can expand it to the width of the column. And let's say I'm looking for expiration dates, and what I can do is I can click in here and I can say sort oldest to newest or newest to oldest. I'm going to go oldest to newest. And it looks like we have one person who is an expiration date of 2022. And they're not current any longer. They're actually an old member. So that's as easy as it is to find your members. And then you can, you could cut and you could copy your email addresses by highlighting them and copying them and putting them into your own email with whatever message you want to use. So that's how you find your member roster. Let's see. I also wanted to show you how to renew for yourself. And so I'm going to go to I already renewed. And let's see. I think I go to my personal snapshot. I don't want to renew. I really don't want to renew again because I already renewed once. But if you go to your personal snapshot, you're going to click here. This is what your members will do. They'll hit renew. You can see that I'm a member through 2024. So this is where you're going to find that renew button. Okay, let me go back to this other screen and show you. So that's this one. Let's talk a little bit about the CU representatives. So the renewal process for CU representatives, as you're aware, each university partner receives 2 national memberships, and they can also join a branch. And branches choose whether they charge or don't charge for dues. California does not charge CU representatives. So the CU representatives are given a coupon code so that they can use that for their 2 members. And that is listed here. It's called College University Rep FY24. And that waives the national dues. So if they join and just join national, it will waive their dues. Since we don't charge California dues, we ask that they not add the branch at this time because they will be charged for state dues. So if you can then just collect the branch dues and notify national to add them to your branch roster, you don't have to collect any state dues. So if they just join national using the College University Rep fiscal year 24, waives their national dues, they tell you they want to join the branch, you collect their branch dues, and then let national know that they are a branch member. And you just send that to Connect with that information in the email. All right, now let's say that you're getting checks from people and you want to be able to process those through the bulk renewal. So you're going to log into the hub like I just did, and you're going to choose renewals and donations, and then you're going to choose the member that you want to renew. So let me go into the hub. Let me go to my branch. So remember, branches are affiliates. So you go to my affiliation. If you manage more than one branch, you'll see more than one branch here. And I'm going to go to a branch, and I'm going to say manage roster. And I'm going to do renewals and donations. And it's going to bring up a spreadsheet for you. Now, Mariposa may not have very many. We'll see. Okay. So remember, you can use this for, this is really, really teeny. You probably can't read, oh, it's at 125%, but the instructions are pretty good at the top. It tells you exactly what to do. You could search for a person, or if your roster isn't too long, you can just eyeball it and find them. Okay. So you have the member name, you can sort it. You could look for all of a type of membership. You could look for people who are not current. You know, you can sort by any of these columns by clicking on the column. But let's say that we want to renew Angie. If we click here and say renew, that's going to renew her. And let's say that she made a donation of $100. And it calculates her state, her national, and her state dues. You see the amount that goes to the action fund. It doesn't include the branch dues because you keep those. So they wrote you a check for $192 plus your branch dues. You just keep the branch money. And this is only the piece that you have to do so that it goes to national and then it goes to state. So you can do that for all of these folks here. And then you might want to do your renewals and donation worksheet. So if you click on that, it'll download a spreadsheet for you that shows you who you processed. Okay, and it shows that it was Angie and that there was a donation of $100 and the total was $192. So that gives you that information. And then you have to remember to say pay now. This is where you're going to pay. I'm not going to do that since Angie's already renewed, and I don't think my branch officer would like it if I took care of this for them at this point in time. So that's as easy as it is. Now, if you just want to do a donation, let's say you're not doing a renewal, I'm going to uncheck the box. So let's say that you just have donations that you want to process. You can use the same tool here and just put their donation amounts in. And you can leave the dues piece blank, and then you will get just your donations piece. Okay, so that is bulk renewals. All right, I lost my cursor, hang on. All right, now let's say that you want to add or join new or lapsed members. So we're going to go back to the hub, and you have to, there are 2 steps that are required. Well, maybe 3. You have to find the member or add the individual if they're a new member, and then you have to join the member. And I'm going to do the add a new individual. So I'm going to go back here. Let's see, I'm going to go back. Sometimes you get a weird message when you go out of a function. Let's see. No. So first you're going to add an individual. Okay, so this is where you're going to tell the system who you're working with. Okay, and you can first search. So let's say that we're going to add me. I'm going to search. How many Gabes are there? I don't know if it clicked. Okay, so look at all these people. So if you have a person who's been a member in the past and is no longer a member, you can use this function to add them. So you search for them and then you add them. But let's say I go through this whole list and I can't find me, then I can create a new individual. So either you find the person and add them that way, or you create a new individual. Now I'm going to go back and let's just pretend that we've done that because I don't want to mess up my branch. And let's go back one more. Once you have added them, you're going to say, oops, I got to go back in here. All right, then I'm going to join the individual. Okay, so if I join the individual, I think we'll see, because we're in Mariposa, that one person who's an old member who's still associated with us, she's expired. You can choose her. But if I'd added somebody else, that person would be listed here. And then I'm going to just follow the directions, update their contact information and all that kind of stuff. So that's as easy as it is to add a new member to your branch, whether they exist or don't exist. All right. And then the next topic we're going to talk about is Shape the Future. And Shape the Future is using a coupon code. And last year you could do multiple Shape the Futures, but it turned out to be kind of a challenge. People chose 4 when they only did 3, or 3 when they did 4. And so now they're done individually. So you can give a member this coupon code, Shape the Future, or you can use it yourself. So remember, members join at an event and they save 50% in dues. Oops, sorry. And let me show you where to find the form to how to use the earned memberships. So I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to go under membership. And I'm going to go governance and tools. I'm going to go state and branch tools. I think this is where it is. Angie's probably saying in the background, it's not there. Let me see, we put the link on here, I think. There we go. I'm going to cheat and use this. And you can do the same thing. So here's the Shape the Future, and it tells you all about it. So this is how to use it. So you're going to hold an event, and you're going to submit the form. Here's the join application to do it manually. And then the thing that you might be interested in is the status report. And this status report shows you how many memberships are available. So this was done on February of 2023, and it's the entire world. So if you look for California, you can see Fremont, for instance, had 9 new members, and so they got 3 Shape the Futures. You can earn up to 3, and you earn them on a 2-for-1 basis. And then here is the redemption form that you can fill out manually, and it downloads to your downloads folder, and you can see the form is here. And you can, you can list them, list your members here. Okay. Let me close this out and this out. And let me go back to here. Oh, Carol, I went into your section. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I love that you showed how to access the resources. So
I even put a big C on the page so that I
no
would
problem.
stop talking. So my apologies. So I will stop talking and turn it over to Carol.
Yeah, well, just a few more points on Shape the Future. We did have quite a few questions about that. And I certainly hope that that is a tool that you're using. I know that that was something that helped to, encourage membership by offering the reduced dues for new members, but also the fact that you had the possibility of 3 free memberships, and you can use those for anyone over the course of the year. So if you want to honor someone with a gift membership, or you have a speaker or something that you want to have them be a member, or just anyone that's renewing, you can use that. So absolutely, if you haven't gotten to know Shape the Future, do so. I think that having these tools available makes it even easier than it has been in the past. So, but let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So Rolly has already given us a little bit of introduction to life memberships. And there's 2 kinds of life members: the ones that have been a member consecutively for 50 years, and they do not need to renew their membership, and they will appear on the roster with a member type of honorary lifetime membership. And that is distinct then from those that have paid an amount to cover their national dues for the rest of their life. And they were sent a renewal notice and should renew their membership. What you're going to have to do is pay attention to where they, when you look at your disbursement reports, see if they actually paid branch and state dues, and then you may have to do an individual follow-up with them to be sure that you have the correct information and they've renewed for the state and the branch. So that just is one little piece that you will have to follow up specifically on them. All right, let's go to the next slide. Next slide. Hello? Yep. So one of the things that Sandy showed is how you can make donations to national at the time of registration. And one of the things that, as you know, AEW National has a variety of different funds with different purposes, but the donations made during the time of membership renewal all will go to the Greatest Needs Fund. And that can happen either at renewal or also at any time, again, as Sandy demonstrated. That's one that people sometimes have a question about: what does the Greatest Needs Fund do? And it's actually, it allows AEW to respond rapidly to critical issues that affect women as they emerge, whether it's a new threat to Title IX, an opportunity to partner with specific employers, or maybe the dawn of the social justice movement like Me Too. When donations are not restricted to fellowships or specific projects, AEW has the dollars that we need to pivot as the national dialogue shifts and get our work covered by major media outlets such as the New York Times, CNN, Fortune magazine, and so on. So that's where the Greatest Needs Fund contributions go. Branch officers can process bulk donations from individuals that are sent at time of renewal or without renewals, again, as Sandy demonstrated. However, if your branch or state wants to make a donation to national for a specific project or maybe some of the other funds, you can, and you want to do that by debit or credit card rather than sending a check, you can contact Tremaine Parquet or Connect to open, and they can set up an express lane link for you to make an online donation with a branch debit or credit card. All right, next slide. So reporting, how do you find out what has happened? So branch and state disbursements reports are sent monthly, and that's going to give you a list of everything that's happened during that month. So that, again, we've mentioned, for example, did the life members renew? You'll be able to find that out. But if new members join, you will get a nightly notice of what happened that day. So if the member joined online, it will give you notice that the dues have been paid. Remember that if you have entered a new member, but you haven't joined the member, then you still will get a notice, but the membership has not yet been paid. So you'll want to follow up on that. In February, the membership as of February 1st, that count report was sent in late March. So that would give you a heads up on who needs to be renewed. And the next slide, please. All right, just a couple of other reminders. Right now, probably many of you have held elections and have your new slate of officers. It's very important that those are recorded in the community hub and also with the state of California, so that the correct people have access to get in to these into the hub and access these rosters and tools, because that's what makes that possible to happen. Also, as you probably know, National can file your 990 with the federal government for those branches with income below $50,000, and that you need to do before October the 15th to let them know that you wish them to file. One other helpful thing is that we've been, as I think all of us on this call have attended a few of the national office hours twice a week. Angie and other staff from National do kind of an open forum to answer questions. It's very helpful to ask your own questions, but also to hear what various people are asking as well. So make a note of those times, and that's a good place to get additional follow-up help. And as we said, we'll have access to this broadcast as well as all of the tools from the California website. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Carol. I just want to mention one more thing. We're going to do Q&A, but at the end of the session, when everybody leaves, this will be for all of the participants, not the panelists. You're going to get a link, an opportunity to go to a link for a survey about how the session went. So please take advantage of that and let us know if we gave you good information today or not, and if there's anything that we can do to improve our next webinar. I'm going to stop sharing now, and we're going to open it up for questions. I see there are quite a few questions that are in, and Carol, if the presenters want to, Carol and Angie, if you want to turn your videos on and unmute. There are actually quite a few, although there are some themes I'm noticing. So Linda or Julika, who's going to be giving us our first questions?
Actually, I can start. There's a lot of questions around life versus honorary member information, and then also around the CU renewal. So let me address the life membership. Can you explain again what the difference is between honorary versus life member? What is the distinction between the two?
Sure, I'm happy to answer. The paid life member is an individual who pays a one-time fee, and that one-time fee is generally whatever the national dues are times 20, but it is a one-time fee. And then your honorary lifetime member is someone who has been a member of AAUW for 50 years.
The follow-up to that is, how can somebody find out if, who the 50-year members are?
So if we're talking about an existing honorary lifetime member, when you download the roster that Sandy shared with us earlier, the member type is listed in that second column. So you can see who your existing honorary life members are that way. If there are individuals who joined 50 years ago and they are not currently listed as an honorary, those individuals, you can apply for their honorary life status.
And when they apply, how long does it take before
Hey,
they get
Julika, before we say the how long, everybody asks, I get this question a lot, so I'm very interested in
True,
letting
yes.
people know. The form is online. So you can download the form. If you go to where we were under membership, state and branch tools, and you look at the bottom right that has reports and forms, you can download the form yourself. You need to fill that out and send it in, and that gives National the information in order to investigate and confirm that there's been 50 years of membership.
So then how long does it take to verify? Roughly.
Sure. So we asked for about 30 days. We have also tried this year when we had some additional help to be more proactive. So there are some who have actually now been upgraded to honorary life status. And we'll be sending electronically those letters and certificates to the leaders.
And then last question in that area is, when you do bulk renewals, how do you renew honorary life memberships in that process?
So with honorary life members, you can or you don't have to necessarily, because many of them, if you process them, even through renewals and donations, there's likely to be a $0 amount. So that's okay. But they too show on that same screen where Sandy had gone in. So that's renewals and donations. They are on that same list, and then you can select them to be renewed.
Oh, thank you so much. Linda, are there any that you would like to address?
I apologize. I'm putting in the link to the honorary life membership application page.
Mm.
Do you want to keep going? I'll come back to
Yes, again, around CU renewals. How do we update the CU list if we see that certain individuals are missing?
Sure. So for that, you can send us an email to connect@aauw.org. Tell us who is to be removed and also who is to be added. When we get closer, and we will be sending out renewals for colleges and universities in early June, then we will be making a lot of those changes at that time.
Many college reps do not have access to, let's say, a university credit card or debit card and process a check by invoice requisition. So how is that done in the new system?
In the new system, it is the college university reps who have the access to go in and renew if the renewal is being done electronically with a credit card. If someone, let's say in the president's office, needs that access, they need to notify us, and we will set it up so that they could go in if they wish to renew with a card. Otherwise, most colleges and universities will send a check payment for the renewal.
Mm-hmm. And is it all done by individuals? Individually, the CU reps take care of their membership.
I've seen it. It's been done in a variety of ways. I'm going to say that the majority are handled by the office of the president/chancellor, and usually done by check. That's the majority, but there are a number that do pay online and pay on their own.
Okay. Sandy, do you want us to continue, or do you want to go on with the presentation?
Oh, the presentation's done. It's all questions now. Yeah.
Okay.
So Angie, I see a couple of questions related to asking for 50-year members to be verified, and people seem to still be waiting for them. Do you still have a list that you're working, or how do people know that it hasn't just gotten ignored or missed?
Yeah, no. So and I saw in the Q&A. So what I've tried to do in the Q&A, I've actually gone through and identified those who have things pending with us so that I can research those and get back to people.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yep.
I did have one. Diane Howard asked about they have issues with people creating duplicate records and or branch people wrongly joining their branch, and that it's taking quite a while for those issues to get resolved. Is there a specific process for getting those corrected?
The best way for us to get in front of those is if you send it to our attention. We're trying to go through those as quickly as we can. There are a lot of duplicate account records because we are working in a system where multiple systems for the first time have been brought together. And that's where a lot of the duplication comes from. And you add individuals creating new accounts, and it basically adds to that. So I would just say if you can identify the duplicates, bring that to our attention. We'll try to go through and get those resolved as quickly as we can. We do have a new reporting method that we did just implement that is helping us quite a bit. So we do expect that the turnaround time on a lot of those kinds of items will be a lot faster. We're also getting some additional help. We're trying to do a bit more of training across teams so that other team members can help with this process.
So a couple of people have indicated that they've requested information, but they have not received an answer as yet. Should they continue to contact you, or how long would you recommend that they wait for a response from National?
Yeah. I would say if you feel like you've waited, please go ahead and repeat your request so that it comes to the top of the box, and we can try to get those answers for you as quickly as we can. If people put the information in the Q&A, that's what I am also making note of tonight so that we can go back and see what issues are outstanding and try to resolve them.
When someone goes ahead and enters their college university date, it asks for a specific date, but many members do not know the actual date that they graduated. So what should they put in that field?
Sure. So in that area where you're filling that information in, we actually suggest that you can put in a bogus month and day if you can't recall it. Maybe you recall the month. You can put in December 31st of whatever year. So that's it's understandable, and it's quite all right.
Let's see.
I was looking for some other ones as well.
There is a question: if a member will be a member for 50 years in 2024, when would they qualify for their honorary life member? Is it 2023, 2024, or 24, 25?
I always suggest just after the first of the year, if you get to into January 2024, then go ahead and apply. It won't matter what month. We want you to go ahead and apply.
I don't know if this one was addressed. Deborah York mentioned that she tried to update her email and phone number when she was renewing, but after she did this, it didn't recognize her and she wasn't able to proceed with the renewal. So she had to change it back to the prior email and phone number to proceed with the old information. So is that a glitch, or is that something that once she renews, she would be able to update her email and phone number?
I saw that in the Q&A. I've never had that come up before. But I would say if she, once she was able to renew, she can absolutely go back in and update her information. But I've not had that come up before in an inquiry.
Okay,
There
There
are
was
also a
an-
couple of questions. I'm sorry, Linda.
go ahead, Julika.
There are also a couple of questions about dual renewals. So how do we handle dual renewals? How do we add dual members?
Sure. So I guess the way I want to try to explain it is the best way to process a membership when you have multiple affiliations, if you are a dual member, is for that individual to self-renew, because then they're going to select all of the memberships all at once and process them. However, if someone, let's say you send your dues to your primary branch, and then you send a separate check to your dual branch. When those funds are not all together, then they have to be processed separately. What that means is that it becomes a manual task. So if you are a branch and you've received just the branch portion of dues for that member, just email us, tell us that you have received the dues for the local branch, and we'll have to update it manually.
Angie, I have a question here from Jane Niemeyer, who is indicating that some people are having a problem with choosing the forgot password and not getting something back. And I know that you did a whole branch worth of that earlier or late last week. Is there, how do people resolve that, and how much time should they wait to get that email back?
Sure. So when you click forgot password, it should be no more than 10 minutes or so. If you don't receive it, of course, we want you to check your spam folders. To give you an example, I am a Gmail user. In Gmail, not only is there junk and spam, but there's also a folder called promotions. And if you go into your Gmail account, you'll see a little link that says more. When you click more, you'll likely find that email. If you don't, then go ahead and the individual can email connect. If the branch leader feels that it's a lot of people who are having that experience, let us know, and then we'll go ahead and resend the entire branch. We'll actually push the reset email out to those individuals so that they have it.
There's another one I'm going to talk about expiration dates because we had this discussion when we were doing our practice session and discovered that expiration dates are a little bit challenging. Right now in your report, you have one expiration date, and that works for most people. It doesn't work for a couple of scenarios, and one of those is dual members, because you could have a dual member that is kind of off cycle from the national member. And so they have a different expiration date, and the paid lifetime members can have the same situation. So I talked to Katrina last week, and she offered to create a report for us so that we could explore all of the renewal dates that are available. So we'll be working with National on trying to create that report, and then we'll be able to share that with folks, or figure out a process for it. But we recognize that there's a challenge with that. So that's why we said look at your disbursement report to see if your member paid your branch dues. Another thing about reports or lists that I see out here, people are asking where the national member list is. We download that at California. We download that every month. So we've asked you to contact web team at aauw-ca.org if you want to have access to that, and we will share that with you for use within your branch. Let's see.
There were a couple of questions about bulk renewals. Is there a maximum number of renewals you can do on a bulk renewal?
So in the bulk renewal system, one of the things that they did when they made the updates for us this year was to improve that by not having the system generate all of these orders. So you really should be able to select, 20, 30 members at a time to go ahead and renew them. If there is a limit issue, we have not run into it since the changes were made. So I'm going to say, feel free to, renew as many as you like. And we'll have to monitor it if there is some sort of a limit issue. But so far, so good. And again, we see people renewing 20 and 30 people at a time.
Thank you. And there was a question about how to pay by check for bulk renewal. That was, is that a possibility?
No. So if you're referring to the branch needing to send a check
Yes.
in,
Mhm.
okay. So if a branch needs to send a check in for membership dues, then do not use bulk renewals because that is the automated process when you're going to use, a credit card, a debit card, or even some people refer to it as e-check, some say ACH when you're putting in your banking information. So those are the payment methods for renewals and donations. If you're going to write a check, then you can use the additional, we changed the name a little bit, affiliate dues report. That report is located in that same area that Sandy pointed out earlier, and I think also the link was put in the chat. So the same area where you go for the honorary life form, that's kind of our catch-all location for all forms.
Is that the additional dues report, Sandy?
It's called affiliate dues report now.
Oh, it's still listed as additional dues report.
No, it says affiliate. It's just hard to.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to see. Make it a little bit bigger here. It actually says affiliate dues report. And
Okay.
here's the same place for the honorary lifetime application and the state and branch dues. And Angie, maybe you know the answer to this question. I was looking for the 23 February count. I thought that was sent out to us. I was unable to find the email. And so I went here thinking maybe I could find it here, but they haven't been posted yet. Do you know where those are, and can I get the one for California?
Sure. So we can post them here. So we sent them out via email, but we can definitely store them here so that people can go back to them.
Okay, great.
I have that too, Sandy, so I can email.
Okay, great. That would be great. Let's see. There's another question about Karen Dennis said that she'd like to know when the renewal notices were sent out for her branch. And I know that we went over the listing of when they went out.
Mm-hmm.
And so Karen should have received it. Maybe it went in her spam folder, but the dates, let me just bring that is on your slide.
It should have been, I want to say April 25th.
Okay. We just have April. We don't have the specific date. So you think it was April 25th? That might help her find it.
Also, one branch mentioned that last year, most of their members chose to send in checks. And she's wondering if there's any suggestions to encourage or enable members to more easily start using the system and renew online.
It really starts with, asking, as a branch, asking them to please to renew online. We can certainly, if they haven't opted in before now, we can include them, include the branch, and we can push those resets out to those individuals to help with that process.
Thank you.
Let's see.
We have a lot of questions. It's just
Right,
taking
we-
a little bit of time to
Through
weed
them.
through them. And
I know.
yeah. All right. So there are still some questions about CU partners and invoicing. So you mentioned that it was going to go out in June and it goes directly to the person who is the rep that's listed in the CU.
Correct.
Right.
We,
So if
we
you-
send those via email to the representatives,
Yeah.
but we also mail it to the office of the president/chancellor.
Okay. So this was Gloria who was asking this question. So Gloria, you're not going to get one unless you're the CU rep for that college, but I guess you could go on. If you have a relationship with the college, you could go look up that representative. And if you notice that it is incorrect, maybe that person has moved on, you could send your email to connect and get that record updated so that it goes to the right place. Because we do know that they change over time. Right. And so we've talked about CU, we've talked about CU, talked about CU. A lot of CU questions here. Let's see.
So I did get a question about who receives the disbursement reports.
Yep. So that is the president, administrator, membership VP, and finance officer.
Okay. Oh, and Toby asked about the three national memberships. Is there a time frame to use to count for the three free national memberships?
So for the report that's out there now, I mean, we are asking if they everyone could try to use them before the end of September. The free memberships that you earn.
So is it a July to June timeframe, or is it January to December timeframe? Is what she was asking in terms of when they join. Are we using the fiscal year or the calendar year?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, the fiscal. So the fiscal year.
Okay.
But we did put a date on the form asking if everyone could try to submit their requests by the end of September for the ones that they've earned thus far.
Okay.
I know that I used to just use them for renewals, and since this is a time where lots of people are renewing, you could cover the cost of at least 3 renewals that way.
Mm-hmm.
And Angie, the list, the Shape the Future code is not on the website, or it is on the website? I can't recall.
The code for the
For Shape the Future.
for the 50% off.
Yeah.
It is. It's in
It is.
the new member the how to process a new member instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, because someone asked about the instructions for new members. Is that in the same place is that in the community hub?
It's not in the community hub. So when you go to the national website and you click membership, and then you click governance, and then you're going to see at the very top, before you see state and branch tools, you're going to see community hub. And that's where we house all of the FAQs, all of the instructions that we've set up. And then as we prepare for we're going to try to do some video clips. We're going to have those video clips in that same area.
Angie, can you confirm on the college university member student? Oh, Toby, I think Toby asked a question, but I think the codes that we have in the presentation, Toby, are the correct ones. So
They are.
Shape the Future and the CU representative are the ones that are in the presentation. So there's a question about, is there a report that we can access that details how the greatest needs fund donations were used in the previous years? I know that question's been asked several times, and I think it's challenging because it goes wherever it's needed. So I don't know, Angie, if there is a report that describes in general where they went, other than the blurb that we gave the audience today.
Yeah, the blurb that you shared would probably be the most accurate. I don't know that they have, that there's something that details it in a report form.
Okay. So Linda says, or Deborah says, 90% of our branch donations come in at membership renewal. Will we lose this ability for members? No. So when a member does their own renewal, they're provided the opportunity to donate. And you can do that on your bulk renewal. If you're talking about branch donations, that is not currently available through the community hub. Correct, Angie?
Correct. Usually those branches that are collecting other funds at the same time that they're collecting membership dues, those are typically the branches that will not have us send out renewal reminders because they are, are doing that function.
A question that just came in is how to find and transfer a member to another branch that moved and was included in our roster to renew.
So if I'm following correctly, it's for someone who is leaving the branch. Whether you say transferring from the
One
current
branch to another, from one branch to another, yes.
Okay, so usually it is the branch that the person is going to that would either process it, or if the member self-renews, they simply choose the branch that they are going to when they renew their membership.
And there's a question about the disbursement reports. They're being sent as PDFs. Any ability to send those as Excel files so we don't have to scrape and copy over to Excel?
Sure. So those are being automated now. So right now you're getting an email that I personally go through and push out to all the states and branches.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, that's in the process of being automated now. And that will then be an Excel spreadsheet, and you will just get your own, you'll just see your own branch and your own state. So improvements are on the horizon.
Yay.
For that.
Probably nobody happier than you, right?
Sharon Holly Crum asks, where's the state officer report found? So that if you go to the hub and you go to your branch, there's a thing that says committee members or committee something, and that's where you go to log your branch officers. All right, and then Laura says that we have several positions that are shared with two people, and do the outgoing leaders need to be removed? If you'll notice, there's an expiration date. So if the expiration date is 23, leave it alone. If they're going to continue, change it to 24. And then she said that it will take some time to handle banking transfers. The outgoing treasurer and I still need to be able to renew members until the new one is up to speed. So in that situation, is it okay to extend that person by, do you recommend a few months or a month or something like that? What do you recommend?
I generally say as long as you need 3 months, 6 months, that's fine.
Okay. All right, somebody asked, how can you tell if a member has an account? Now we went over that, so this question may have come in before I did that demo, but that's where you're going to search for the member. You're going to add a member and you're going to search by last name, and then you'll be able to see the members there, and then you can choose that member. If you don't find them, then you add them. Sharon also asked about which officers are listed. So there's a list of people of different positions, and it doesn't really matter whether they're elected or appointed. We just want to know both at the state and national level who's in those positions, so that if we send out materials to that group, that they'll be included in that group. I'm working my way down, but Julika and Linda, do you have any others ready? I'm trying to clear out. It seems like no matter how fast I type, we get more.
I know.
Well, Sherry Wren just asked, what about lifetime members? Do they pay state and branch dues annually?
Many of them do, but it's, it is, it's up to the state and branch, but many lifetime members do, because they were paid lifetime members. So they generally pay state and local.
And they do for California.
And do they do that in the hub?
They do. They can, yes.
So Angie, here's one that we talked about a long time ago when we first started the hub, and it's the personal account versus the branch account. So as a finance officer, all of the bulk renewal orders that I process end up in my personal member record. I think this is really wrong, and they don't want to do that. Is that going to be fixed so that it's not associated with your personal account?
No, because it does follow the volunteer leader. And I get what the thinking is there, but structurally it's the way it has to be, it has to work. There's not a different solution for that.
Okay.
Karen Winters asks a question. She says that she had a member who renewed online but got confused in the process and didn't select the local and state branch.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, she just paid for national dues, and she wrote a check to the branch to cover the branch and state dues. But how do they ensure that she stays on their roster?
Right. That's when the email should be sent to us, letting us know that just that, and let us know to go ahead and manually update that person's state and branch part of their membership. And of course, use the ADR form to send the state dues on to the state.
Along that line, Randa Blanding says to remind people to renew all branch and state dues at the same time to avoid this very issue.
Right.
Right. And Sherry just mentioned too about the honorary life members. They also would pay state and branch dues annually as well, if the branch wants to. And that's correct.
But in California, we don't ask them to pay state dues for honorary life members, but we do expect paid life members to pay state dues.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And then the branch determines whether they pay branch dues, correct?
Yes.
Angie, where can someone find the ADR form? I often get this question too in the office. People will call and say, where do I locate the ADR form?
It's on the hub where we went. Let's see. So if you go to the hub, it's under, let me go back. So under download membership forms and reports. And that'll take you to the AAUW box and you can see the dues report, contribution report, honorary lifetime membership. Does that help, Julika?
It's an actual form. Is that, that
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
item is a form, not a report, correct?
It's a form.
That's it. That's the one they're
Mhm.
looking for. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So Karen again asked about the renewal notices. So on that slide, it tells you when those renewal notices are going out. It depends on the month. So for the March, April, May, June, July expiration group, they had a reminder notice that went out in April, and they will get a second notice in June. And for August and September, those will go out in June. So you'll have two groups that go out in June. And then the October, November, December, those will go out in August.
I believe I got mine in around April 20th or so.
Let's see.
Okay, so Christine, about the forgot password. So as Angie said, check, especially if you have Gmail. There's another one, it's called Social. That it puts in Gmail likes to distribute your emails around. So check your spam folders and your social folder and your promotion folder. And if not, if you still don't get it in 10 minutes or so, send Connect a message and they will send you another link to be able to, or they'll resolve that.
Let's see.
Is the roster real-time reporting data or is it dependent on a nightly refresh?
It is reporting in real time.
Thank you. Okay, so somebody said that they had a member who just renewed their national membership and not their state and branch dues. And then so she went back on and tried to do it and again, and now she's got one out 2 years, because she renewed. So if you let Connect know that, they'll fix it for you. And Angie, there's one in here from Maria Roman about an honorary lifetime membership that has been in for a little while. So,
Yep. I did catch that. So I'm going to be following up with Maria on that.
okay. Okay. Well, it looks like we're not getting new questions anymore, or starting, the question number is not. Okay, so Patricia asked, how do we pay state dues if a member renews online and does not specify a branch and therefore the state either?
That would be another case where you use the ADR form.
Okay. When is the disbursement report sent?
It's sent at the very end of each month. What's being reported will be from the previous month. So here at the end of May, we'll be sending out the report. It will be for dues that were received during the month of April.
Great. Thanks. Helpful.
Gloria Liu asks this particular question about reimbursement form as well. We have 3 branches close to each other. It was helpful to get the disbursement report for the whole state so I could see who was a dual member and with which neighboring branches. Can we get that report for disbursement as well as, well, we talked about the fact that it wasn't available through Excel, but can they get it for the entire state?
The entire state. So the current disbursement format that we're using is for the entire state.
So they have the information once they receive it. So yeah, okay.
Correct.
Right.
We are, yes, and we are trying to work on a report that can be shared more frequently, where you can see the individual and how their membership dues payment breaks out, so that if a person, when they renewed, if they included the state and branch, you should see that. If they included 2 branches, you should see that as well. So that's the next thing that we're working on, and that should help to reconcile when doing your reporting.
So Angie, Patricia Reese says that when she searches on an individual, she gets 3 names matching the inquiry and don't know which is my member.
Yeah, when you
How do
don't
you-
have enough, yeah, it provides, so you can use first name, last name, and then email address. If there isn't enough information for you to know, you would generally go ahead and create a new account, just to be, to be safe. You can create a new account. And if you're not certain and you would prefer that we assist you internally, you can email us and give us that information, and we can also search and help you get the right person on your roster.
Okay.
A membership treasurer says she doesn't get the report, but she's not officially has the title of membership chair. So is it just a question of going to the membership chair and asking for that report, or can she also receive it?
Tell me which report we're referring to.
It's a distribution report, and she's classified as membership treasurer, not membership.
As treasurer, the individual should get it, because it's in the system. It is identified as a financial officer, so they should be receiving it.
I think that's key. They have to be designated in the system, because I think I heard her say that she's not official, like she does that role. You have to, that's why we put officers in the system, so that those reports go to the right people.
Right.
Deborah asks, can we renew all our members now instead of following the join schedule? So remember, memberships are annual now, and you can renew. You've got like a 6-month window, right? 3 months before, 3 months after. So you can renew people, but it will keep their same renewal date as long as you don't go outside of those parameters.
That's correct.
Sherry says, I don't receive a notice when my members renew online. I think you just answered that, right? It's in the disbursement report. And then the expiration date, as long as they're not a dual member or a paid lifetime member, should be on your member roster.
So one thing I think that was in one of my slides is also that there is a nightly individual report if someone renews, correct?
For new members.
Renew.
Right, but the report that I was just referring to that we're working on, the goal will be to make that a more frequent report. Something
Okay.
I can't promise that it'll be a daily report or maybe a weekly report, but we know that leaders would like to have something more frequent, more regularly, where they
Right.
can see who's renewing and who's joining.
Right, okay, thank you.
Judith Gerber says that she understands now that the president should also be receiving the disbursement report, and she's been president for nearly a year and has not received one yet.
Okay, then we should definitely look at that. Can you repeat the name for me?
Judith Gerber, and I'll put that in the chat if that'll help.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Advise the first step to enter the branch roster. So let me just quickly show that again. So you're going to log into the Community Hub and you're going to choose your branch. So for me, it's I go to my affiliations and I look for a branch. So I'm going to look at Mariposa and I do manage roster. Okay, so you choose my affiliations if it doesn't come up right. And that's what affiliate you are. And then you're going to choose it. And on these 3 dots, you're going to say manage roster. And then you have an option here to export branch roster. And that will give you the Excel spreadsheet. Let's see. Tiana asks, is the process for adding student members to an individual branch the same as it is for college branch? Well, there are 2 different kinds of memberships, right?
Yeah, I want to make sure I follow the question. Can I have you repeat it?
Yeah, is the process for adding student members to an individual branch the same as it is for a college branch?
When you say college branch, is it a student organization that's being referred to? I mean, there's either a branch or a student organization.
So Tiana, if you want to add a clarifying question, we'll watch for that.
Lori Ferguson was asking where do they ensure that the correct information for their board it's in the community hub,
Oh, for where their board is. Okay, hang on.
right? So that they can have the right officers listed.
Okay, let me do that. All right, so you're going to, it's committee management.
Mm-hmm.
So think of your leadership committee or your officers as a committee. You go to committee management. And then you'll have all the people listed who are current officers. And if they're continuing, you can do edit here and change their termination date. If they are not coming back, just ignore them. They'll go away eventually. But let's say that you have a new officer that is not on this list already. You do add new, and this brings up your list, the ability for you to look at your list of members. And so you're going to choose my screen is a little weird. You should be able to put a name in here.
Right.
Sorry, my screen was a little weird. So I put in my last name, and so you can pick that person, and then you can say what committee. There's something weird with my screen. So you do the down arrow and then choose the committee, and then the start date, which would typically be July 1st, 2023, and an end date of June 30th, 2024, and then hit submit. which I'm not going to do since I'm not going to add myself to this branch.
So for Angela, then they also need to update the national list as well.
That is national.
Oh, that is the
That's
national
the
list.
national. We
Okay,
haven't launched the state branch officer reporting system. That'll happen on June 7th. And you'll
okay.
get an email about that.
So Angela, who gets, which of the leaders gets the disbursement report?
President administrator, finance officer, and membership VP.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's see, it's 5:30. So PJ is asking where that AAUW box is. So let me share that again. So if you go to, let's just go to the national site. It's like you just logged in. You're going to go to membership, governance and tools, state and branch tools, download membership forms and reports. And this is where it says AAUW box. It's a SharePoint thingy. So these are the list of reports that you can download. Okay, so Linda and Julika, how are we doing on questions? I still see there are 43 open, but I know that we've answered several of
We've
them.
answered many of them, yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through them and sort of see. Will we be addressing some of these that we maybe didn't get to?
I would, if we haven't gotten to them, yes, we can address them outside of here.
Here's one. PJ Missman asks, whose job is it to add new officers? It's the president's job. It's the outgoing president's job.
Tiana says, sometimes we have people who are students at college, such as those re-entering school after a break from a prior career, who would like to become a member of an individual branch, not affiliated with a college. So that's just a student member. If they put in a graduation date that's in the future, it calculates that cheaper price of $18.81, and they can pick a branch as well. So that changes their national dues. It's that easy. You just have to put in a graduation date.
Sherry Wren mentions that one of her members received her education in India, and she wants to know how she can update that individual's information on the hub.
If it's updating a person's education, if that person has already been added to the system, as a leader, you wouldn't be able to go back and modify that person's education. That's the one area you can't change once they've been added, but the individual could do it themselves, or you can email us and we can add it for them.
And Angie, isn't there a kind of catch-all at the bottom of the college screen that says, we gave you 7,000 institutions, but if we missed one, you choose other at the bottom?
That's correct. Yeah. They can absolutely do that.
Okay. Does entering member information on the hub, address, email, etc., update it to national, or do we need to send it in an email? Well, you're updating the national record, correct? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not seeing any new questions. I'm seeing ones that have been asked and answered a few times. All right, so what I'm going to suggest is that we'll give you a couple of minutes if people have questions that they think we've missed. Please go ahead and put them in the Q&A, but I think most of the questions have been answered. There are multiple questions on the same topic, and so I think we got them all, but if we didn't, now's your chance. And Angie, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate your willingness to answer all of our questions and help us get through this process. I know that you get, I cannot imagine the number of questions that you get, and you're always so calm and you always have a smile on your face. So we really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate all the support as volunteer member leaders. We certainly can't do this without you. So most grateful for absolutely everything. And I did once again sweep the Q&A so that if I see something there that we need to follow up on, we can do that.
Okay, and we'll send you a copy of the Q&A, so you'll be able to see both what we said, and if we blew it on our answers, you can help us correct it. Okay, if a CU renews with the check, what info should they send with the check? Is there a form?
Or do they mean the school or the?
Yes.
So if it's a school, the school receives, they receive an invoice. The CU rep receives it electronically. The Office of the President Administrator receives it via mail. So that's our way to try to cover all of the bases. And the hope is that when they send the renewal, that they include that form, because that also tells us whether or not if they've changed representatives or not.
So Sandra said that it's a new school, so this is their first time joining, so they didn't receive a notice.
Right, and we can create, we can create an invoice. Schools are, very much so businesses, and oftentimes they require an invoice. So we can create an invoice for them if they need an invoice.
And so the school or Sandra could get in touch with you at Connect and let you know what school it is and the fact that they need an invoice.
That's correct.
And Anita says that there is a member who renewed, but her personal snapshot page says she's not a member. I would suggest that she send that to you so you can investigate it. That sounds like an odd situation.
Yeah,
so
that sometimes happens when a person creates a new account. They go in and they create a new account. That new account says you're not a member. And we likely need to merge your existing account with that new account to resolve it.
Oh, okay.
So it happens if you create a new account and you have an old account.
Exactly.
So that's an indicator maybe that you have an old account.
Exactly.
So your president or membership chair should send an email to Connect. Okay.
Gloria mentions that her branch debit card has a limit, and that may be why that's an issue when you're trying to cover for everybody. That maybe it can be difficult then. Maybe why people are asking about the limit of how many they can do at a bulk registration.
Sure, it can be a limit with the number of people that you process, but indeed a debit card, if you're using a debit card, oftentimes your bank will discontinue your card if it's dormant, if you let it go dormant for, let's say it's been 6 months to a year because you only use it to process memberships. So that can occur. But you can also contact your bank as long as the card is active. You can also contact your bank and notify them that you're trying to process something with X amount of dollars, and they will up the limit for you, and then
Very
you'll
good
be able to
suggestion.
proceed.
Yeah, very good suggestion.
Mhm.
So Toby has another question about Shape the Future.
Mhm.
And she's wondering what time frame is it based on? Is it the calendar year? Is it the fiscal year? So when did those members need to be have joined?
Yeah, it's the fiscal year. It's the fiscal year. And we are trying to do one more report, I think for the month of March, to kind of like a catch-up report, to see if there were other branches that were participating. But it is a fiscal year report.
Well, and she also was asking about with the fiscal year, but how do they count for the earned numbers, like of new members?
So when we open April 1, right, from April 1, anyone who joins as a new member from that period forward is counted. And one of the things that we do differently from the old system is it used to be that you had to join under the campaign in order to be counted. Now, if you are if a branch brings in a new member in general, regardless as to whether or not you used the campaign when they came in, we're counting those new members, and that counts towards the free memberships that you earn.
Hey,
All right. I don't see any new ones coming in. Do you?
oh,
It's been quiet for
we have some,
15
yeah.
minutes. Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining today, and Raleigh and Carol for helping with the presentation and getting the information out, and Angie for answering, let's see, at least 100 questions. Probably more than that, but we have 100 that were logged here. So thank you all so much. And so we're going to end now. I'm going to stop the recording. And if the team can stay on.